They thought seeing a real revolution and making money from that revolution were the same thing. Just adding .com to the end of a company's name was enough to excite investors. It did not matter whether the company actually generated revenue, because everyone kept repeating the same sentence: what matters is growth. People were no longer reading balance sheets. They no longer cared about cash flow. Companies that made no profit were being valued at billions of dollars because one very powerful emotion had changed market logic: fear of missing out. Because people did not just want to make money, they were afraid of being left behind. And you got caught up in the excitement of that era too. You invested the money you had spent years earning into a few technology companies. At first, you were afraid, but then the stock started going up. Every morning you woke up, your portfolio had grown a little more. After a while, everyone around you started treating you like a financial genius. Taxi drivers were giving stock tips. Television programs constantly talked about new technology stocks. People were quitting their jobs and becoming full-time investors. And this is exactly where history entered its most dangerous stage. People started believing that risk no longer existed. Because the deadliest part of bubbles is not prices rising. It is when people stop believing a crash is even possible. Then, the famous morning of the year 2000 arrived. Nasdaq started falling. Nobody took it seriously on the first day. On the second day, people said it was a buying opportunity. On the third day, panic began. And within a few months, half of the technology world was erased from history. Trillions of dollars vanished. Lives changed. Companies collapsed. People lost not only their money, but also their dreams about the future. Even Bill Gates, the richest man of that era, reportedly lost around $1.8 billion in just 1 week. People who became rich overnight returned to zero within a few months. And now, open your eyes. The year is 2026. And honestly, I feel exactly the same atmosphere today. But this time, the thing on stage is not the internet. It is artificial intelligence. Today, the weight of the global economy is concentrated in the hands of just a few companies in an unbelievable way. They are called the Magnificent Seven: Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Meta, Alphabet, and Nvidia. These companies are no longer just technology companies. They are the infrastructure of the digital age. Your phone, your search engine, your cloud systems, your maps, your social media feed, your online shopping. And now even artificial intelligence itself is largely under their control. Today, approximately 37% of the S&P 500 index depends on just these 7 companies. So millions of people are unknowingly investing in the same story. Artificial intelligence will take over the future. And these companies are spending amounts of money never seen before in history to win this war. For example, Tesla. Elon Musk no longer sees himself as just a car company. The Dojo supercomputer is proof of that. The Optimus robots are proof of that. The Cybercab project is proof of that. Because Musk's goal is bigger than producing cars, he's trying to build the workforce of the future. Apple, on the other hand, is following a different strategy. Quiet, slow, but incredibly systematic. The company is making multi-billion-dollar investments in data centers because it knows that in the future, artificial intelligence will not just be an application, but the core operating system of devices themselves. Google is afraid because AI threatens the search engine model. Microsoft is acting aggressively because it wants to become the leader of this race. Meta is trying to turn artificial intelligence into the new engine of social media. And at the center of this entire war, there is one single resource: computing power, which means chips, which means energy, which means data centers. Today, the biggest technology war in world history is actually happening inside invisible giant factories. People usually see artificial intelligence as a chat box on a screen, but the reality behind the curtain is far bigger. Even a single sentence you type into ChatGPT is processed inside gigantic data centers. Thousands of graphics cards operate simultaneously. Massive cooling systems run constantly. Because the real cost of artificial intelligence is electricity. And today, technology companies are not just fighting a software war, they are fighting an energy war too. Some data centers now consume as much electricity as small cities. That is why technology companies have even started becoming interested in nuclear energy investments. Because in the future, the company that wins may not be the one with the best AI, but the one with access to the most energy. Think about it. Humanity spent thousands of years fighting over oil. Maybe in the coming years it will fight over data and energy instead. So where is all this enormous money coming from? And is a truly new economic value actually being created? This is where the system starts becoming blurry. Some economists call this the AI money machine. In other words, artificial intelligence creating a giant financial cycle within itself. Microsoft invests in OpenAI. OpenAI uses that money to buy Microsoft servers. Microsoft uses that revenue to buy chips from Nvidia. Nvidia announces record profits. Then Nvidia invests back into AI startups. The cycle starts all over again. On paper, everyone is growing. Everyone is reporting revenue. Everyone looks like the owner of the future. But the real question is this: is a truly new economic value being created? Or is the same money simply changing hands over and over again inside the system? Now let's think about this more simply. I give you $1,000 to paint my garden. Then you use that same $1,000 to come wash my car. And afterward, both of us turn to investors and say, look how much we have grown. This is exactly where financial bubbles are born, when real production and expectations separate from each other. The biggest winner of this story right now is clearly Nvidia. During gold rush periods, people often say that the ones who made the most money were not the miners, but the ones selling shovels. Nvidia today is doing exactly that, because the fundamental thing required for artificial intelligence to function is chips. And Nvidia produces most of the world's most powerful AI chips. That is why the company's stock rose incredibly fast. But throughout history, every extreme rise has carried danger alongside it, because the market is no longer pricing Nvidia as simply a successful company. It is pricing it almost like an indispensable infrastructure of civilization itself. And in history, no company has remained unbeatable forever. At one point, oil companies were at the center of the world, then banks, then internet companies. Now it is the era of artificial intelligence. But history always shares one common pattern. People think the rise will last forever. At the foundation of the financial system, there is only one thing: trust. Even money itself is actually an organized belief system. A piece of paper is worthless on its own, but people work for it because they believe it has value. Stocks are valuable because we believe there will be growth in the future. And today, the value of artificial intelligence also depends heavily on trust in the future. But there is something extremely critical here, because technology no longer just produces products. It produces perception, it produces behavior, it controls the attention economy. Social media platforms have spent years optimizing human psychology. Now artificial intelligence is being added to this system too. So the issue is no longer just technology, it is the human mind itself. One of the major problems experts are discussing today is this: the data wall. Artificial intelligence models need human-created material in order to learn. Books, videos, articles, forums, artworks, code. In short, humanity's digital footprint. But according to some experts, within a few years, high-quality human-created data on the internet may significantly decrease. And at that point, the system may start becoming strange. AI may no longer learn from humans, but from content created by other AI systems. In other words, artificial intelligence may become trapped inside its own echo chamber. And here a very important difference appears. AI may possess information, but it does not possess experience. It has never felt real fear. It has never experienced real loss. It has never failed. It has never felt disappointment. And maybe that is exactly what makes humans human. Lived experience. Legendary investor John Templeton once said, "The four most dangerous words in investing are, 'This time it's different.' Because every generation believes its own revolution will last forever. It was like that with railroads. It was like that during the radio era. It was like that during the internet era. And now we are seeing the same thing with artificial intelligence. But let's be honest, there are some things that truly are different this time. Most companies during the dot-com era did not even have real revenue. Today, however, companies like Apple, Microsoft and Google hold hundreds of billions of dollars in real cash reserves. So today's companies are not just selling stories, they also have real infrastructure, real users, real power. That is why what we are experiencing may not simply be a temporary trend. Maybe we really are standing at the beginning of a new era. But history has taught us one thing. Even real revolutions can create investment bubbles. So what should you do in this environment? First, emotional discipline. If everyone in the market is talking about the same thing, be careful. Because crowds do not always create safety. Sometimes they create danger. Second, diversification. Do not tie your entire wealth to one single story. Technology may be powerful, but history shows that no sector remains dominant forever. Gold, real estate, companies that generate cash flow, and some cash. Because sometimes cash is not just money, it is the power to buy opportunities. Third, be careful with debt. Because during crisis periods, what destroys people is not simply losing money, it is losing liquidity, running out of oxygen, making terrible decisions in panic. In conclusion, my friends, history does not repeat itself exactly, but it always rhymes, and we may currently be standing right in the middle of that rhyme. Will artificial intelligence change the world? Most likely yes. It will change the economy, it will change the way people work, maybe it will even change human relationships. But every great technological transformation also creates massive transfers of wealth. Some people rise, some disappear, some become the owners of the new world, some remain buried beneath the ruins of the old world. Maybe what we are experiencing today is the biggest technological revolution in history. Maybe it is the biggest financial illusion in history, or maybe it is both at the same time. Time will show us the answer. But one thing is certain, the next few years will be remembered as one of the most critical periods in financial history. And right now you are standing directly in the middle of it. So what do you think? Is this time really different? Or are we simply inside a much bigger garden painting game? Let's meet in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, stay safe, and stay with history.